The first 3 seasons focused on Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard's Iron Trio, but Season 4 adds lots of Hector and Isaac side stories, has this unbalanced protagonist screen time upset viewers. The shift to include more Hector and Isaac side stories in Season 4 hasn't sparked widespread outrage, but it has created mixed reactions among viewers, largely depending on their attachment to the original Iron Trio. For fans who fell in love with Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard's dynamic, their banter, teamwork, and shared growth. The increased focus on Hector and Isaac did feel like a protagonist imbalance, leading to disappointment that the trio had less screen time together. These viewers wanted more of the classic adventure and camaraderie that defined the first 3 seasons, and felt the villain-focused side stories detracted from that. However, many other viewers embraced the expanded focus on Hector and Isaac, seeing it as a strength rather than a flaw. The anime's greatest achievement with these characters is turning them from one-note villains into complex, sympathetic figures. Hector's struggle with guilt and manipulation, Isaac's journey from vengeance to redemption, and their conflicting views on power and humanity add layers to the story that the trio alone couldn't provide. These side stories don't just steal screen time, they deepen the overall narrative, showing that evil isn't black and white, and that even villains have motives and regrets. The original trio still plays a critical role in the finale, with their actions driving the resolution of the main conflict, but the Hector and Isaac arcs complement that by exploring the consequences of Dracula's legacy from a different angle. The imbalance is more of a narrative shift than a sidelining, and while some viewers were upset, many appreciated the anime's willingness to take risks and expand its focus beyond the core trio. Annette's original arc fighting from a slave island to Paris is praised as peak power fantasy, but some say it's detached from Castlevania's core. Does this original character highlight, overshadow classic roles? Annette's original arc is a brilliant addition to the Castlevania universe, and it does not overshadow the classic roles of Trevor, Sypha, or Alucard. In fact, it enhances them by adding diversity, depth, and a fresh perspective. The peak power fantasy praise is well-deserved. Her journey from a slave on a Caribbean island to a fearsome warrior in Paris is empowering, visceral, and emotionally resonant. It's a story of resilience, revenge, and self-discovery, and it grounds the supernatural conflict in real-world struggles, making the anime feel more relevant and engaging. The criticism that it's detached from Castlevania's core misses the mark, as Castlevania's core has always been about fighting oppression, whether it's Dracula's tyranny, demonic hordes, or in Annette's case, the horrors of slavery. Her arc aligns perfectly with the series' themes of resistance and justice, just through a different lens. Importantly, Annette's highlight moments never come at the expense of the classic characters. Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard still get plenty of screen time, key action sequences, and emotional beats. Annette's story runs parallel to theirs, intersecting at crucial moments to drive the main plot forward. She doesn't replace the trio, she joins them, adding a new dynamic to their group. Her unique skills, her combat style, her connection to the spirits, her personal vendetta against Ursabet complement the trio's abilities, making the team stronger and the action more varied. The original character highlight is a strength, not a weakness. It expands the Castlevania audience to include viewers who see themselves in Annette, while still satisfying longtime fans who love the classic characters. It's a perfect balance of familiarity and innovation, proving that the series can evolve without abandoning its roots. In the anime, the Oracle Order Elder guides Trevor to fight Dracula, but in the game, the Order is more of a support role. Is this increased screen time reasonable? The Oracle Order Elder's increased role in guiding Trevor to fight Dracula is entirely reasonable, as it's a smart adaptation choice that solves a key narrative challenge for the anime. In the games, players take on the role of Trevor or other protagonists, and the motivation to fight Dracula is inherent. You're the hero, and it's your job to stop the evil. But in a linear, character-driven anime, Trevor needs a clear, personal reason to take on such a daunting task. The Oracle Order Elder fills that gap, providing Trevor with direction, context, and a sense of destiny. In the games, the Order is mostly a background faction, offering items or lore dumps, but the anime expands their role to give the story a stronger narrative throughline. The Elder's guidance isn't just exposition, it's a catalyst for Trevor's growth. He starts as a cynical, washed-up monster hunter, but the Elder's belief in him and the prophecy gives him purpose, pushing him to embrace his legacy as a Belmont. This increased screen time also deepens the series' lore, showing that the fight against Dracula isn't just a one-man mission, it's a centuries-old struggle involving multiple factions working behind the scenes. The Elder's role makes the world feel more lived in, as it establishes that there are forces larger than Trevor driving the conflict. Additionally, the Elder's presence adds emotional weight. His faith in Trevor humanizes the protagonist, making his eventual victory feel more earned. This adaptation choice doesn't betray the game's source material. It enhances it, turning a gameplay-driven premise into a compelling character journey. Is Edward's tragic original setting turned into a night creature but retaining consciousness? A half-night creature not seen in the game? A deliberate attempt to stir emotions? Edward's half-night creature with consciousness? Arc is not a cheap attempt at sentimentality, it's a thoughtful storytelling choice that adds profound emotional and thematic depth to the anime. The games focus primarily on gameplay and monster slaying, so character-driven tragedy takes a back seat, but the anime thrives on exploring the human cost of the supernatural. Edward's fate, being transformed into a night creature yet clinging to his humanity, creates a relatable, heart-wrenching conflict. He's neither fully alive nor fully monster, trapped between two worlds. This isn't just about making viewers cry, it's about exploring themes of identity, loss, and resistance. Edward's struggle to retain his consciousness in the face of his monstrous transformation mirrors the broader fight against Dracula's evil, holding on to humanity when all seems lost. His tragic arc also elevates the stakes for the other characters, as his fate becomes a tangible reminder of what's at risk if they fail. While the games don't have a half-night creature equivalent, the anime's original edition fills a narrative gap, giving the story a more emotional core. It's not deliberate sentimentality because the tragedy is earned. Edward's choices, his relationships, and his ultimate sacrifice feel organic, not forced. This arc doesn't just tug at heartstrings, it makes the world of Castlevania feel more real, more human, and more impactful. Ursabet's total solar eclipse marketing. Villainous setup is called over the top. Are there precedents of bosses using natural phenomena to spread panic in the games? Ursabet's total solar eclipse marketing might seem like a wild idea, but it's actually deeply rooted in Castlevania's game lore. There are plenty of precedents of bosses using natural phenomena to spread panic and assert their power. The series has always leaned into the dramatic, using celestial events, weather, and environmental disasters to amplify the menace of its villains. For example, in Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, the Lord of the Vampires uses lunar eclipses to strengthen his powers and plunge the world into darkness, while in Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, Dracula's return is tied to atmospheric chaos storms, blackouts, and unnatural cold that terrorize nearby villages. Even earlier entries, like Castlevania III, Dracula's Curse, which the anime draws heavily from, feature bosses who manipulate the elements, fire-breathing dragons that scorch landscapes, water demons that flood villages, and dark wizards who summon storms to disrupt travel and spread fear. Ursabet's Solar Eclipse Gambit is just a more modern, theatrical take on this tradition. Instead of just using the eclipse to gain power, she weaponizes it as a form of marketing, turning a celestial event into a spectacle to recruit followers and legitimize her rule. This adds a layer of cunning to her villainy, making her feel more dangerous and charismatic than a typical destroy-the-world boss. The over-the-top criticism overlooks how well this fits Castlevania's tone. The series has always been campy, dramatic, and unafraid of grand gestures. Ursabet's Eclipse plan isn't a departure from the games. It's a loving homage to their penchant for blending supernatural horror with epic, visually striking set pieces.